Hey guys.
I thought it was okay.
I'm not sorry.
I.
Hey guys, to the third episode of Mise-En-Sesh. I am George, he is Elliot, and he is Matt. We all know each other from university. Matt hosted the original
University.
Mise-En-Sesh.
All right, yeah. You guys were saying through the first Mise-En-Sesh. Yeah, that was like what 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
17.
Matt hosted the original Mise-En-Sesh when it was a night out and not just a podcast name. Because we were all film students
had friends.
and we were imaginative. Yeah. So yeah.
I still think calling that party the Mise-En-Sesh was the most creative thing I've done at uni.
Your whole degree led to this
Can
one
you remember
moment.
how naive we were into
Naive.
this guy? Back in 2017, we didn't say we were very naive of this how the setup of the industry was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things you can never really... Nothing can ever really prepare for it, because this sounds like I'm really bragging, but having worked in TV and film, both have shown me drastically different experiences where university was like, oh, it's going to be like this, and it's nothing like it. It's insane how different it is to what you're taught.
Yeah, I feel like the people at university, they sort of lead you to believe that it's like a simple path with hard work, whereas I think it's not that at all. Not that I know, because I'm not on George's level, but like at uni, you were sort of fed this dream that you'd do your little bits at uni, then you'd like put together a few short films, and then that'll be enough to get you on the ladder going up somewhere. But it's much harder than that in real life.
I think Chris Rock said it the best. In an interview, he said, people don't work with you on the strength of what you can do, but on the strength of what you've done. So it's leverage, I suppose, industry, like in terms of relationships or what you bring to the table. So I think there's leverage that helps propel you to be in a position where you want to be.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when someone takes you on as a film or any creative job, it's always a bit of a gamble. And the more information you can present to people about what you've already done, the less of a gamble it feels like. I think that's what it is. Like if I applied for a job on an actual film set, down with George at Pinewood, it would be almost like a blind gamble for the person making that decision, because I don't have like a career to reference. I've only got my education. Whereas like someone like George, for example, even though he's got a few years of a career, that's still like a huge chunk of information that they can be like, okay, he's probably going to be a sure thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's something where even though I walked into work thinking I know exactly what I'm doing, I've watched hours and hours of like behind the scenes work, so I know how things operate. I walk in, they're like, oh, can you hand us this cable and do this for us and make sure that you're doing this? And it's just like a completely new language. So it's the fact that there are certain types of cable which I never knew existed. There are certain uses of terminology and stuff, and it's just I'm honestly looking back like, what did I learn at university? Because it wasn't anything to do with this.
George,
Really odd.
Got a question to ask you.
Go on.
Right? Was it worth it, or it was was the university worth it, or an alternative route of like building up a portfolio outside of university? Would have that been better, or would have the university path been better?
Well, if I hadn't gone to university, Matt, we wouldn't have had this podcast. So Well, no, university definitely. I went into it knowing I could avoid it and still do well in a career. Like I could avoid university, apply for an apprenticeship with like ITV or BBC or something, and work my way up, which is what I know a lot of people did, and they're very, very senior now.
Yeah.
But the fact I knew that going into university, but I went because I wanted to get some form of hands-on experience, meet people, and just have the creative freedom that you get at university. Because 9 times out of 10, student films make no sense whatsoever. It's just people trying to be as creative as they can possibly be.
Yeah.
But it means you get that experience. You get a hands-on opportunity to be like, right, this works. This really doesn't work. I'm going to steer clear of that until I can sort of, get more experience with it. So I feel like university was good for me. Definitely, like it showed me like the basic do's and don'ts when it comes to filmmaking. But it could be different for someone else. Like someone else could maybe have a better sort of career trajectory if they don't go to university. If they decided I'm going to do an apprenticeship or I'm just going to do loads of work experience and just apply for all this work. So yeah,
I feel like it depends based on like who you are as well. Like if I grew up with a group of friends who were all like-minded and all wanted to make films and do stuff, I probably would have never even touched university because we could just, my network of people was at home, so I could just gather around my friends. We can go out and make a film for fun. Like for me, the biggest benefit of studying film at uni was one, it was getting yourself like in an environment that is sort of everything about it is geared towards you learning and doing stuff, which is something that you don't get when you're just like working part time trying to make it work. But if you're at uni, like everything you do is sort of aimed at that one goal of making films or learning about making films. And then two, it's the network of people and surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. Like, we all met at uni and we're here now talking about it 2 years after our course finished. So, it's a value in just building connections and just being able to bounce off people who are on the same sort of mission that you are. And three, touched on what you said, George, about just it's a good way to be creatively free. Is that I think it's a real good way to flush all the crap out of your system at uni because, like, let's be real, like everyone who wants to write their first few short films usually has some high brain idea that only smart people understand, and it's all like non-linear. It doesn't make sense, and like, oh, I'm going to break all the storytelling rules because I'm the one. And I think that's a good way to get it out of your system when you do it at uni because you can be creative, you can make the mistakes, but then you've got intelligent people who understand what you're doing, and they can like explain to you and give you good feedback and explain why it's not, why things work and don't work.
Yeah, I think like uni is a very humbling experience in terms of because it's not just the course; it's everything that comes with it. They people a lot of people when I was doing A levels, they would tell me that A levels is harder than university and a university degree. Though my A levels were the exams were difficult at the time, the thing that made university harder was balancing the work, the socials, and your project, your career, which would be your degree, right? And not only having challenges in your personal life or job wise, but trying to humble yourself and understand that this project I'm doing in uni is somewhat more important, or like priorities. It taught me a lot about priorities in terms of the filmmaking aspect. It taught me to appreciate the failures, like the things that don't go well, because you know Joe, you can speak to this as well. Like you're on set every day, and I bet not everything goes accordingly every day. It's problem solving, you know. So it teaches you to humble yourself and just be like, okay, maybe we should go back to the drawing board and look at how we can do things differently. Because if A didn't work, then let's choose Plan B. Plan B doesn't work, then we have to reevaluate what we're doing here, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. At university, when I was making my films, like I looked back at looking back at them now, I'm just there like, why did I do that? I made it so overly complicated for myself. I didn't need to do that. And then it like one of the shots was we had a Steadicam shot running across the road following a character, and because we were following health and safety rules, we were wearing high vis jackets. And what's the one thing you can see in the reflection of a window is a high vis jacket.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like if I knew what to look for back then, I would have obviously redone it. But yeah, like you say, on set, 9 times out of 10, you're problem solving. You're anticipating something's going to go wrong, and you're finding a solution. On when was it? On Thursday. So my first shoot day was Friday.
Yeah.
So when this goes out 2 weeks ago. Um, so my first shoot day was Friday at like 20 minutes before we wrapped. The team I work with, we had a huge issue with our system where it got to the point where the two people I work with had to stay until about 9 p.m. to try and solve it. Wrap
Yeah.
time's at 6. I didn't leave until about 7 o'clock. They said until about 9. We came in early the next day and it still wasn't sorted. And it was just a case of fighting fires left, right, centre as and when they came up. So yeah, he's just majority problem solving, but when things go right, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, the stress that comes with filming, it's it can be a very challenging because there's different types of stress that come with filming. You know, it can be things like, let's say you're on a slide, I've got a glide cam, and something's wrong with the equipment. You know, it jams somewhere. You know, something small like that can frustrate you very much, or it can be another problem, another stress of somebody you're working with. You know, maybe they're not pulling their weight as much as they can be. You know, it's just problem solving and problem solving, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. It's a learning experience every single day, and that sounds really corny and cheesy, but it is every single day I'm learning something new because I have to be. I have to be adapting to situations which didn't exist 5 minutes ago. Like,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
every problem you solve today is a problem that you can proactively prevent tomorrow. Like if you have an issue on one day where it's like about cable or whatever, then a few days down the road or like on another shoot when the issue comes up, it's not even a problem to you because you already have the solution. So like after a few weeks or days or weeks on a actual film set, when you come to do your own projects and these issues pop up, you'll just be like, oh, do that, do this, do that, let's roll.
yeah,
So
definitely.
it's kind of like one of the reasons I like parodies and unintentional comedies is because like it's like when you watch them back and you see all of these mistakes, they kind of they work towards the context of what they're trying to present to you. You know, when you watch a parody and let's say you see a camera guy you see a sound guy holding the sound mic, uh, and you know you find it funny, but you also understand like, oh yeah, this is what's meant to be. So I suppose if you're like working on like a parody, the mistakes are kind of they're more forgiven, but it's also like they're done intentionally, kind of.
Yeah. Um, I'll come back to a sound guy in a second, but the project I'm working on, we're filming primarily on blue screens. So I really freaked out the first time I was watching the monitors back, and you can see the boom pole or the boom mic coming into frame. And I was like, why is no one freaking out? Like, that's ruined the take. I turned to the guy who runs Video Village. He was like, think about it. They're on blue screens. They're going to be removing everything. Like, other than the actor, none of that's going to be used.
Yeah.
So like, depending on what it is you're doing, then yeah, like making mistakes, mistakes isn't necessarily as bad as say if you were doing a period piece where you're meant to be in like the 1800s and all of a sudden you see a plane fly over the top, or what is it, Braveheart, where you see a car driving in the background. But going back to sound guys, I did a job last year. I think I might have mentioned it already in like a previous episode, but I was a boom operator on for like a 2 day
Yeah.
stint on this film. And my God, my arms. Like, I think the guy showed me a way that he can prove it to people without just having a boom pole on him, which is get a pole or something with a bit of weight to it, and just stand and hold it out like that. Hold it like full arm's length and up. And after about 2 minutes, like maybe less, you will start to feel just burn all down your arm. And I had to hold a pole up like that above my head out of frame for
I know
like
them days.
8 hours.
Green Mike is serious. It's serious, bro.
It's insane. And these guys who then they hold boom poles and they operate sound as a career. they've all got huge arms. And I'm just like, hey, who needs a gym? Yeah, just
I did the boom pole for Elliot's film. So Elliot, you did a film what 2017 during the
Uh,
summer, I think.
oh, the 60 hour
Yeah,
60 hour
yeah, the
challenge. Yeah.
60 hour. No, it wasn't a 60 hour
No, is this the
challenge.
one we
It
did in the
was
summer? Yeah.
yeah, when in the
Yeah.
containment. Was that the 60 hour challenge?
No.
no, that
That was
was
like a test
Yeah,
shoot for me and George.
yeah, but yeah, it was hot as well. It was hot that day.
that was Elliot's ingenious way to see if he could work with me on a project.
Yeah,
I just
Yeah.
He's talking
it
about the
was fun.
boom pole. It reminded me of the first like narrative thing we worked on at uni. I was the what was I? I was the editor, and then on set I was the sound recordist, and obviously that
Yeah,
means boom op as well. And I started doing it like that, and then I realised that all the shots that we're doing are so like static and tight. So I guess I put it up on the screen, but I don't know if you can see that. That's like the first picture from me on set, where I
That's
just put the
great.
boom arm on a tripod and just.
And you
And
sling
I
it
was
as
literally
and
that
when
was
you
from
need.
in my bedroom as well at my house, and I just sat, and they were like, "Sound ready?" I was like, "Yeah." It was
so laid back though.
That's what I didn't get for this film I worked on because it was just static shots. I was like, why am I even here? Because the sound, like the actual sound guy, didn't realize I was going to be there. He thought he was going to have to do it. So I turn up. I'm like, all right, I have experience, but I'm not experienced. Like I've done it once, a couple of times, a couple of times before, but
Multiple times.
I was under the impression. Yeah, once a couple of times. I was under the impression I'd hold it for like, like a minute at a time and I'd be able to relax. And this director was the kind of he'd be like, no, don't cut, just keep going, go again, go again, go again. So for like 10 minutes, I'm there, my arms are like properly shaking. I can see the boom just doing this because it's a really long pole.
Imagine
And,
the sound guy for Stanley Kubrick.
oh God, yeah, could you imagine?
Oh,
Jesus. But yeah, it's like they get paid a lot of money because of the fact they're training such specific muscles
yeah,
to do that job. It's amazing. Yeah.
that's crazy.
I don't know. Right, I've got a couple of questions. Do you want to pick one or two?
well,
Did you too?
we'll do one and then do another one if we have time. We like a
Well,
tangent, don't
no,
we?
I meant I've got two questions. Pick number one or
Oh
number
right,
two.
okay. Matt, you can choose.
Um, I'll pick two.
Right. Have you ever walked out of a cinema? Have you ever been watching a film and just decided I cannot be bothered anymore?
Because I'm a cheap bastard, I would never walk out of a cinema because, like, I think on the walk out, I'd just be thinking about the amount of money I spent, not only like on the cinema tickets, but getting to the cinema. So if I probably caught a bus or a train, that comes into play, and then I'm also thinking about the popcorn too. But like, I would sit through a bad film, but I won't be happy about it. I'll just keep talking shit, but like, not loudly. I'm not one of those guys that like just talking throughout the film, but. If I'm with someone, I just be like, yeah, you see that? Yeah, yeah. You see the boom mic? Yeah, that's fucking unprofessional. Like, I'll be that guy there. If I'm,
Matt then realizes he's watching a behind the scenes video.
yeah, but like, I've never walked out of a cinema
No, me neither.
film set.
If I paid for a cinema ticket, I'm watching the film no matter what.
Remember Orange Wednesdays?
Oh, Orange Wednesdays.
Oh my God.
I used to
Orange
love Orange
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Oh, that was so good.
Orange as well. It was like a shitty service, but I got the sim just for Orange Wednesdays.
Oh my God. Good old pay-as-you-go Orange Sim, yeah. Because what was it? Orange and T-Mobile became EE,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah, they I think EE bought Orange at some point, didn't they?
Yeah, something like
I think T-Mobile bought Orange, and then when they merged, they was like, "Oh, let's rebrand to EE."
Oh,
that. I remember I went to Germany on a school trip
yeah,
and I left and I was on Orange and I came back and obviously I turned my data off because I was abroad.
yeah.
Came back and my phone it didn't connect to Orange, it connected to EE. but I didn't know what had happened. So I'm resetting my phone, like, what the fuck's happened? Like, what the hell? I keep
It's German
searching.
service on my phone.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is happening? I keep taking the SIM out, putting it back in. This is when you can actually take the batteries out of phones. Like, this
Yeah.
is showing my age here. But yeah, I just remember really freaking out about that.
Yeah. Wait. So George, have you ever walked out of a cinema then?
No, I had it once where I was really, really desperate for the toilet once.
Well, I've been to the toilet
Um,
in films, but I've never.
no. But the thing is, I was really desperate because I don't like walking out. I don't like leaving the cinema because I'm going to miss something. But it got to the point I was like putting myself through pain trying to hold it in. So I was like, I need to go. But another screen had just finished, so then like there was a queue for the toilet. So I ended up missing about 10 minutes of a film.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it was that was it. It was the Incredibles, the
I mean,
when Incredibles was in cinema, because I remember watching it back on DVD like a year or two later, and it's the bit where Miss Incredible gets stuck in all the doors, and then she like her hands in the elevator and she just punches the guy, and it was that whole section I hadn't seen before.
I'll tell you something about my bladder. Like anyone that knows me can contest that I have got a very, very, very delicate and sensitive bladder. So like after I drink this, I'm gonna need to pee in 10 minutes. But so like when I'm watching films, I purposely sit at the end of the row,
Oh yeah,
quick access, and I don't sit too high, but I don't sit too low as well. I want to be centered in a position where I can enjoy the scope. I can enjoy the scope of the film, but if I need to go, I can go quickly and then come back.
you know what I find funny is the fact that because I do it in my head as well. It's like when I'm booking seats. I'm always like, right, I need to get in the middle of the screen so I've got the best view.
Yeah.
In reality, you're still going to see the film from the edge. They're not gonna be complete arseholes
It's different.
where it's like you're not going to get the same viewing
It's
experience
different.
because you
Have you
didn't
never
book
ever
them.
sat in a cinema seat, right? And you're like, yo, this is perfect. Have you never sat in a cinema seat and you look at the screen, you're like, this is where I want to be, like anytime I come to the cinema.
No, but I have had it where I paid. This was when I was watching Justice League when that came out in cinemas. I
Yeah.
was watching it with a couple of mates, and we were like, "Yeah, this is great. You know, we'll splash a bit of extra cash and I get the premium seats. It's great." But what they don't tell you is the premium seats are raised by about a foot or something because they're
Yeah.
premium, so you're higher up. But then there's like a ridge of a support beam
Yeah.
which is also there. So
Yeah.
essentially, you're getting a widescreen view of a widescreen film. So I was missing about that much from the top and the bottom because of the bloody bar. So wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime I sneak into a cinema, I'd probably sit on the premium seats, but then I feel like I'm really breaking the law when I sit on the premium seats and I haven't paid for the premium. Like it's like I think the red leather, like it just feels like, oh, I shouldn't be sitting here. It's like the devil's seat, and I feel like they're gonna catch me.
Well, it's there's a View cinema was open near me, and it was properly done up, and it's all the seats are leather recliners, all of them, and it's like £7 a ticket, and I'm like, this is where I want to die. I just want to sit here until the day I die. It's
Yeah, View
great.
Cinema's dead good. That's where we used to go when I was a kid. We always used
Yeah.
to sit like back right corner. So like now when I go to cinemas, always sit like back right or back left. That's my zone.
I
I feel like
remember.
Elliot, you have like a mad comfy seat. Like I feel like you're the person that looks for convenience in terms of comfortability. I think I just made up a word, but I think like you're that person that looks for seats like that.
You're just checking all the springiness of all the
Yeah,
chairs.
I think
I
you're
go
very.
through with like a little like pushing down the cushion and all the seats,
I'll
like
go so
finding
far.
the premium.
I'll go as far as to say you bring your own cushion. Like you you go to the cinema and you take it out and you have a cushion to sit on when you're watching a film.
I remember growing up. I don't know if this is just because of being in London and stuff, but Odeon was always like the higher end cinema, and View was a bit like it wasn't as great. But I remember going to see Avengers Endgame. I saw it
Yeah,
midnight release at View, and I was
yeah.
like, "This is amazing." To the point I dragged my girlfriend back to the cinema the same day, so like 9 p.m. the same
Uh,
day, to go
3 hours.
see it again at Odeon. But Odeon, they've got like essentially the seats you get on a bus. Like they're so uncomfortable. Like the amount of dust that pops up as you sit down. And there was a guy in front of me who was FaceTiming his mate the whole time, showing him in the film. It's like, oh my God, what has happened here?
Complete bastard. I didn't know time a film. That's crazy.
It's the fact, thankfully, his mate had the courtesy to mute himself, so there wasn't anything coming the other side. But I was just like, how cheap are you?
You know
There
what?
was,
Yeah.
there was seats everywhere available. I was like, bruh.
Weirdly enough, like I think it's because I'm from Birmingham. I've seen piracy in cinemas so many times. It's crazy. Like I've seen people on wheelchairs do it. I've seen children do it. I've seen old people do it. Like all demographics. Like there's somebody there that would literally bring a video camera to a cinema and record the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really chat shit about that because I have watched a lot of pirated films because I didn't have the money to go to the cinema.
Oh yeah, I think everyone has,
Yo, China
whether
man
they admit it or not.
is so handy when it comes to piracy films. I'm not gonna lie. You might cut this out, but like in Birmingham, there's an area where you go to, you just park your car, you dock your car, and like there'll always be a Chinese guy that is selling like these £2 DVDs, and they're like the latest films that you can possibly find. Fam, you see Transformers 8, you're like, I didn't even know they made that.
They haven't even made number 7 yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, and some of them are really good quality. But yeah, man, that was back when we were broke.
Gee. I just remember watching a pirated version of a film, which is, yeah, they've sometimes you can see they've just got the camera and plopped it on the seat next to them. Other times it's like they've just screen recorded the whole thing, and I'm like, how the hell have you managed that?
Yeah,
But it was one I was watching where it was very clearly a camera, but I was like, I want to see the film, whatever. And halfway through the film, a guy gets up to go to the toilet in front of the camera. So I'm like, real experience, woo, whatever.
yeah.
And then he comes back, and for some reason, he's taking a long time to get back to his seat. To the point the guy operating the camera goes, "Mate, can you just fucking sit down already? I'm trying to record the thing." So, they have no fear.
You have to have like seriously huge balls to bring a camera into a cinema.
Yeah, you got to be a different breed
Yeah,
to just walk
like,
into
What's
a
in the
cinema.
bag? Don't you worry about that, mate.
Like, it takes a special amount of not giving a fuck to do something like that, bro.
Have you seen? Like you can take stuff into a cinema. Like you don't have to, try and hide all your snacks and stuff. They can't stop you going in with it. But I think there was a period of time where they could confiscate things off you. But there's a
Yeah.
comedian where he's got literally from the joint of his leg down, his leg isn't there. Like I don't know if it was a birth defect or amputation or whatever. But he tells a story of he got his gene leg where his leg isn't. He
Yeah.
put a 2-liter Coke bottle in there and just tied it up. And obviously it just looks like he's cut off below the knee. And
Yeah.
he starts uses crutches and walking and stuff. And he gets to the guy to hand his ticket. He stops, but his Coke bottle leg just keeps swinging. And you can see the guy looking at this what is a Coke bottle, being like, something's not right here. But if I say, "Excuse me, sir, there seems to be an issue with your leg," I'm going to lose my job. So he's just like, "All right, yeah, in you go." I mean, yeah.
Oh, right, that's
To
crazy.
be fair, if I was that guy and I saw like a dude missing a leg sneaking some coke into a cinema, I'd let him have that one.
Well, he's he deserves that one.
I give him 10 for effort. Like that's creative. Like most people use a bag, but you used
Yeah, but apparently a bag wasn't an option.
That's crazy. What was the first question?
First question: what draws your attention to a film? Like, what is it? An actor? Is it a director? Or is it just you see a trailer where it's lots of explosions and intense music, and that's it? Like, that's you sold on it.
Elliot, I'll let you go on this one first. Then.
God, it's not necessarily like an actor or like explosions or whatever. It's just, I suppose it's like the intangible, like the hook. Like some trailers are like sort of like bam, and it's explosions, snacks and film, whatever. It's trailers that sort of don't they don't say what it is,
Mm.
but at the same time they do.
What's your favorite
If that
trailer?
makes sense.
Like, can you think of one in your head, like a trailer that really resonated with you?
Not really, no. To be honest.
So I see what you mean, like trailers where they give hints, but never that you can't actually draw a story from what they're telling you in the trailer, but you know it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, like some trailers they sort of sprinkle bits of the story to sort of get you interested, and then some like comedies do this all the time, where comedies just like throw out all the best
Yeah,
or like all the key points or all the best bits into the trailer,
yeah,
and then by the time you've watched the trailer, you've basically watched the entire plot.
yeah.
I prefer trailers that sort of they they give you a bit as like a bit of bait, and then they sort of leave it at that. I don't like trailers that sort of say like there's a boy in a small town, and then it's like 10 seconds later, he's in a big city, and then 10 seconds later, he gets killed by a gang or something. It's like, well, congratulations, the entire story's just been told to me. Like,
One of my favorite trailers was the Logan trailer. Uh,
mm,
the reason it was my favorite
Oh yeah.
selection of music and like the atmosphere it created, the dynamics of it. It's like you know, it's the fact that this character we've all grown up with, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, is someone now a defeated, like dying, dying man. Like, and and music goes hand in hand with the context of the film as well.
is that the one with Johnny Cash?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it builds up so well because as it builds up, it gets more and more dramatic. But you still can't like draw a correlation as to what's going on. It leaves you more questions like, what happened to the X-Men? Where are they? And stuff. So
Yeah.
I really fucked with that trailer.
I haven't seen that film in ages. I need to rewatch it.
That
I remember
was one of the greatest superhero films I've ever watched in my life. Just
I
physical.
remember watching it in cinemas, and like you said, we grew up with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and then seeing him just spoilers, seeing him die at the end.
Yeah,
That I was just like, my whole childhood
yeah.
was in the palm of your hand,
It
and
was.
you've crushed it.
You know what scene that made me really upset? It was like when that nice American family in the country like allowed him into his house with
Oh
the
yeah.
and like they were so nice and Hugh Jackman's sorry Wolverine's I think it was a clone made by the government, right, to hunt him down. He came and then spoiler alert ended up killing like everyone in the house except for Wolverine and the little girl, and it was just like wow, like you realize that that character Wolverine had just given up with all the drama at that point. He just wants to avoid it. You forget that he's lived through centuries. He's hundreds
Yeah,
of years old in ah, I love that film. I'm not gonna lie. That's my favorite superhero film.
that is a great film. One company. Well, this is essentially just polar opposites. Is DC and Marvel, because with Batman vs Superman, they gave away all of the twists and plot points in the trailer, like you say, Elliot. But then Marvel will literally film sections designed only for the trailers, which have nothing to do with the film. They're not in the film whatsoever, but
Yeah,
they will film scenes just to give people something to watch in the trailer, so they can't piece things together. Because I think there was one they did in Infinity War where they showed Hulk or something in the trailer, but you don't see Hulk past like the opening scene because obviously by the point they were showing in the film, it's sort of towards the climax, and Bruce Banner is in the Hulk Buster suit because he can't turn into Hulk, but from the trailer they gave the impression Hulk was in it throughout.
yeah.
And it's just stuff like that. I really appreciate it because then it means that I can't piece it together.
You know,
Like,
Marvel,
yeah.
they're architects. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, Marvel, like the way they make their films is it's beautiful because they think like 5, 6, 7 years ahead of time. But yeah, you can continue. I just want to say that.
No, yeah, like you say, Marvel are. I don't want to say the pioneers, but they are definitely the driving force currently for a big cinematic universe.
Yeah,
Like they are the ones who have established the norm of you've got all these different characters with their own films, with their own backstories, but they all come together, and they have essentially perfected that. And I was chatting with someone who was saying that they don't like it. They feel like it's very samey, and Kevin Feige is losing his touch. And I don't think I don't think that. I think everything is so planned out and so meticulous, and when it's sort
Now,
of the
what
producers
was
have
trying
to
to do?
step in. Well, it's like with Marvel, when producers have to step in, it's because whatever has been created is maybe straying too far away from what point trying to get to. But yeah,
Yeah. One conversation I had with a friend of mine. He told me that it was the, do you know the Blade trilogy?
yes, yeah, there was the
Yeah.
Snipes one.
Yeah, the Blade trilogy is what the studio at the time. I can't remember what studio it was. Um,
Was it
maybe it
Fox?
was. Yeah, I think it was. It may have been Fox. They made so much money from the Blade trilogy. It financed the Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man franchise in the early 2000s, which then led to, as we know today, the Avengers,
Yeah.
rooting it
Oh,
back to like just the Blade trilogy. It's crazy.
what the hell? Guillermo del Toro directed. He directed Blade 2. I don't know about the other ones. What the hell? But yeah, well, when I say Spider-Man 2, what film comes to mind?
When you say Spider-Man,
Spider-Man 2.
what film comes to
Because no, because I was chatting with someone who I think he's like 16, 17. And I said Spider-Man 2, he goes, "Oh, what, Far From Home?" I'm like, "Well, you're not wrong, but no,
Nah,
because he wouldn't have been born when
Nah,
the
the
original
Tobey
Spider."
Maguire trilogy.
That's
That's the
our
OG.
Spider-Man, yeah.
That's OG Spider-Man.
what's his name? Toby? Is it Toby Maguire?
Toby
Yeah.
Maguire. I really hope they have Toby Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the next Spider-Man film.
I heard that Andrew Garfield was blacklisted. That's the rumor going around.
What do you mean?
I can't say I've heard that.
So, according to Gossip TV and TMZ, Andrew Garfield was like, he pissed off some Sony executive, and since then he hasn't been in like any films from Sony or any big distributor.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, I can't say I've heard that one. Yeah.
Right. Do we have time for one more talking point, or do you need to go, Matt? Because it's 12 minutes past 6. I don't want to make you late for whatever you're doing.
I'll do one more, then I can go after that.
Right. Well, I just had this thought whilst we were talking about trailers. Obviously, like, you watch a trailer, and then usually the next thing you see is the opening scene. I wanted to just talk about, like, like, when you think of, like, your favourite opening scene, like, what comes to mind? Like, the best opening scene of a film that you can...
Storming the beach. Is it Saving Private Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
Like that beach sequence.
That was good. That was a good. That was a good one.
Yeah,
That
as like a...
it's the
Um,
fact you see these soldiers who are meant to be, like in all other films, they're shown as big, muscular guys who aren't scared of anything. They
yeah.
run at gunfire, and it bounces off them. But you see guys who are literally like curled up in balls, screaming for their mum, and it's like that's really tough to watch.
Immediately, you're just drawn into what's going.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like you started from the middle of the film, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like there's so much you don't know, but yeah, that film you're thrown in right at the deep end.
It sort of breaks the rules of opening like a film, because usually, like, at the start, you've got like there's a book I was listening to a few weeks ago. They call it the Save the Cat moment, where like they have the hero, or like the protagonist, or his friend, his or her friends, and like the opening of a film. Usually there's like a challenge, and then like it establishes their like strengths, and like in Saving Private Ryan, it just like shreds like all the sort of preconceived notions that you'd have of like soldiers going into war. Usually, like, you'd expect a war film to open up with like a big battle, which that is, but you expect like the heroes of the scene to just sort of like steamroll it. But in Saving Private Ryan, they just don't. But obviously they do accomplish the task. But it just shows like a sort of a raw, like, the toll it takes on soldiers to do the job told to do. That's a good answer.
Well, going back to Andrew Garfield, Hacksaw Ridge is another film where it's not the opening sequence isn't as dramatic, but it's the once you get into the bit where they're all fighting against, I think it's the Japanese, that whole like the film from there on is just one hell of a roller coaster. I remember watching that first time and I was like, just wow. Like,
For opening, I'll probably say Pulp Fiction. The use of pointless dialogue in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you're still trying to establish what type of film this is, and then all of a sudden, spoiler alert. But by now, if you don't know the starting of Pulp Fiction, it's your bad. But it just turns into like a gunfight. You know, from pointless dialogue to them robbing the what was it, a cafe?
diner or something, yeah.
Yeah, the diner or something. Yeah, it was just so explosive, and you look at it as like, how did it build up to this so quickly when it had nothing to do? I found that very interesting, and it's quite engaging because now you're wondering, okay, so I clearly don't have an idea of which direction this film is going to go.
So you're gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, I have to now accept that any preconceived notions I have about this film, I have to get rid of them because already it's broken the boundaries of what I thought a film could be. So I don't know what to expect next, kind of thing. I think, and that's why I really enjoyed the opening of Pulp Fiction so much.
This could not have gone any better because it's tied itself together very well. Because George, you talked about a World War II film, Matt talked about a Tarantino film, and I'm talking about both those things because like the opening of Inglourious Bastards.
Oh my god!
Like, it don't get much better than that. Like establishing your villain. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yo, Tarantino is my favorite filmmaker ever. Probably writer as well. Like how he can like switch up the vibe in a film so quickly is incredible, bro.
Like the opening of Inglourious Bastards is two guys. Well, they're obviously Hans Landa and talking to the farmer, and he's talking about stuff. He's talking about milk. He's talking about his daughter. He's talking about this, and all of a sudden, he's like, "You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?" And you're like, "Oh," and obviously that shows you that the Jewish family hiding under the floorboards, and then all of a sudden, there's the German guards coming in, and they shoot up the floor, and like you always say like the best thing you can do for your protagonist or your hero is give them a really good villain. I think that's true, and like I don't think it gets much better than how Tarantino established Hans Landa's character in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, that was. I've just remembered that scene. That was that was definitely an interesting scene to watch for the first time.
That's a good one. I wish I said Inglourious Bastards instead. Like that's such a good scene.
Again, yeah, that film in general is one I haven't seen in a long time, but there are certain moments that just stick out, like the one in the bar.
Yeah.
Where they work out that Michael Fassbender is a spy, just because of the fact he does 3 instead of 3.
Yeah,
and it's the fact that they say it in Europe, but in England we do it. Well, I do it like that.
Yeah,
but then
things I do it like that. I've always done it like that.
But then in Germany they do that. They count with their thumb first, so it's like 1, 2, 3. Whereas I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think Tarantino's way of writing was so precise. It got me into writing as well. Like that's one of the things I fell in love with writing. It's like I think he said in an interview he writes his scripts like novels.
Yeah.
In an interview, he writes his scripts like novels, so they're broken into chapters and so on. So you can read his scripts and it can follow the path of a novel. So yeah, I really like how precise it is and how much thought he puts into them.
It's such a delicate skill as well to be able to cram in so many words of dialogue, but then have the viewer not be bored like halfway through. Like it's so difficult to do that.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've definitely fallen foul of is when you're writing dialogue, my attention is constantly on the dialogue, and I'm not picturing in my head what the character's doing, because obviously in most films you watch, the characters aren't just standing one there, and they're just talking. They're doing something else, and I always forget that's how conversation works. I'm always trying to make the dialogue seem as real as possible, as natural as possible. But
I have to go just now, guys.
Oh,
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm anytime you want to bring me up, I'm happy to do another episode or whatever. But thank you so much. Now, to be fair, I think this is a good way to end this episode.
Yeah.
It gives an incentive for a viewer to watch the next episode.
yeah, there you go.
throw the bait out there, reel you in.
Yeah, true now. All right. No, thank you so much. Yeah, and all right, I'll catch you guys later.
Right, see you later.
All right.
See you later.
This has been episode
Thank
3.
you, guys.
Thank everyone for watching. Sorry, Joe.